Okay, so you ready to dive in? This one is for you. Cancer, we're looking at the week ahead.
April 7th through the 13th.
Exactly. And to help us get a sense of what's in store, we're turning to Eli's Tarot.
Yeah, Eli's Tarot over on YouTube, you know?
Right. You know, we always like to emphasize these are general readings,
They are.
but we can pull out some really specific themes.
You can, and we will.
We will, especially for you, Cancer. And, you know, as we go through this, think about,
your own life.
yeah, like what resonates.
What really jumps out at you, what feels relevant, because
Because it is a general reading, but you might find...
you'll find some stuff in there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the overall energy of this reading, it starts with the Queen of Pentacles.
Self-care.
Self-care. So I wanted to throw it to you right away. Like,
Yeah.
how has this been for you? Cancer, have you been feeling this or
Yeah, are you embodying this energy, or is this something that
something you need
you need to hear right now?
to be at right now? Because, you know, as a Cancer,
You're always taking care of everybody else.
yes, so true.
And so this is really like a reminder.
It is a reminder. And so this is interesting because the clarifying cards are the Empress, the Five of Swords.
And the Knight of Pentacles.
So maybe not so simple, right? It's not like
It's not like you're fully there.
you've got this down.
Yeah, it's not like you're like, oh yeah, self-care, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's saying, you know, you need this, you are aware.
But there's a conflict.
What do you think is at the heart of that conflict?
Well, you've got the Five of Swords in there, so it's almost like
Yeah, that internal battle.
there's that battle going on. It's almost like, you know, you should, but then there's a part of you that feels like
Guilty, maybe?
guilty, maybe like you don't deserve it, or that you,
Should be doing something else.
right, or that there's other more important things, right? And, you know,
Always putting other people first.
exactly. And then you've got the Empress in there, which is, you know, abundance, and
Archering.
nurturing. So it's like, that's the goal. That's where you want to be.
Right, but the Five of Swords is like,
It's stopping you? Blocking you, yeah. So recent past, we've got the King of Cups and Two of Swords.
and Ten of Wands.
That sounds intense.
It does. It sounds like it's been a little bit rough.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a bit. The King of Cups was clarified by the Six of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and the Six of Wands.
So that's all about like a soul connection.
Okay, what exactly do we mean by a soul connection?
So I think when we say soul connection, we're talking about those really significant relationships in your life, and it doesn't have to be romantic.
Doesn't have to be.
No, it could be, you know, a really close friend or a family member.
Someone you really feel that bond with.
Yeah, like there's something deeper.
Deeper than just, you know, surface level.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think, you know, the Six of Cups being in there with the King of Cups.
Shared history?
Yeah, shared history, maybe some nostalgia there for how things were. And then the Knight of Swords coming in is
Like a disruption?
almost like, yeah, something shifted or changed.
Maybe not in a good way.
Maybe not in a good way. And then you've got that Six of Wands, which is, you know, that victory, that success. But it's in the past, so
Maybe there was a
Right.
time where this connection
it was really good.
was really good, yeah. And
I think
now,
it's different.
yeah. Okay, so then we move on to the Two of Swords.
And that one's clarified by Three of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Four of Cups.
Okay, so Two of Swords indecision, feeling stuck. But
But then that Three of Swords, ouch.
yeah, that's some real pain.
Like really feeling that.
Yeah. So how do we put this together?
So I think, you know, you're in this situation where you've got to make a decision.
But you don't know which way to go.
You don't know which way to go. And on top of that, there's just this emotional,
Heavy energy.
yeah, like a weight on your heart. And that Knight of Wands is like frustration. Like you want to take action,
But you can't.
but you feel paralyzed. And then that Four of Cups is like retreating, you know, turning inward, just kind of like,
Shutting down a little bit.
yeah, just to protect yourself from feeling any more pain.
Right. Okay, so the last card for the recent past is the Ten of Wands.
Feeling overburdened.
Overwhelmed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's clarified by the Ace of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles.
So this is interesting because it's like, even though things were difficult, you were trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, you weren't just like giving up.
No, you were putting in the work.
Right. So the Ten of Wands is like carrying a lot of responsibility.
A lot of weight on your shoulders.
But then that Ace of Swords is like that moment of clarity.
Yeah, like a breakthrough, a new idea, or a new perspective on the situation.
And the Eight of Pentacles is like putting your head down.
And just focusing on the task at hand.
Even with that Nine of Swords anxiety.
Yeah, there's still that worry, but you're pushing through it.
Pushing through it.
Or
Okay, so now we move into current energies. And this is where things start to look up.
a little brighter.
Yeah, we've got the Ace of Cups, the Moon, and the Seven of Cups.
New beginnings.
Yeah, new beginnings. That Ace of Cups is always such a welcome sight.
It really is, especially after that heavy recent past.
Yeah, so Ace of Cups, all about new emotional beginnings. And it's clarified by the Queen of Wands
The Seven of Cups?
and the Three of Pentacles. So this feels very partnership-oriented.
Definitely. And that Queen of Wands is bringing in some passion and confidence.
Yeah, and that Queen of Wands energy is so like, take charge.
Go for what you want.
Don't wait for things to happen, make them happen.
Yeah, and then that Seven of Cups, so many possibilities.
Options.
Yeah, new relationships, new ways of relating to the people in your life. And then that Three of Pentacles.
Building something together.
Working as a team.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So then we've got the moon, which always adds that element of intuition and the subconscious.
And it's clarified by the Emperor, the High Priestess, and the King of Swords.
That's a powerful trio. So how are we feeling this?
So I think it's saying you've got this deep inner knowing.
Yeah. You know what's right.
Yeah, you trust your intuition, and the Emperor is bringing in structure and stability.
So it's not just like a fleeting feeling.
No, it's grounded in something solid. And then the King of Swords.
Clarity.
Yeah, mental clarity and a willingness to make decisions based on that clarity.
So you're not just like going with your gut.
They're also thinking it through.
Yeah. And then we see the Seven of Cups again in the current energies.
Still all those options.
But this time it's clarified by the Eight of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Page of Swords.
So maybe some bumps in the road.
Yeah, maybe feeling a little bit stuck or limited, but then
those pages come in.
bringing that new energy.
Yeah, that youthful enthusiasm and curiosity. And I think this is about communicating.
Talking things through.
Yeah, and being willing to experiment and maybe try different things.
Not being afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. Okay, so then we move into the immediate future, and we've got the Nine of Cups, the Three of Pentacles.
And the Ten of Swords.
Oh, interesting combination.
It is interesting. So Nine of Cups traditionally wishes fulfilled satisfaction, and it's clarified by the Ten of Cups, the Seven of Wands.
And the Magician.
So on the surface, this looks pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's like you've achieved something. You've reached a goal.
Yeah, and there's happiness there.
There's contentment.
But then we've got that Seven of Wands.
Yeah, which is like having to defend your position.
Maybe feeling challenged.
And then the Magician, which is all about manifestation and taking action.
So it's not all like just sit back and relax.
No, there's still some work to do. And I think, maybe the excitement of achieving that goal has worn off a little bit.
Like now what?
Yeah, now what? And you've got to figure out what's next. And it could be that you're feeling this way, or it could be your partner.
All right, either one.
Yeah, and that could be causing some tension.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have the Three of Pentacles, which is all about teamwork.
Collaboration.
And it's clarified by the Five of Pentacles, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords.
So maybe some of that collaborative energy is
Dissipating.
Yeah, maybe there's a sense of lack or feeling unsupported.
Like you're not on the same page anymore.
Right. And then that Nine of Pentacles, independent self-sufficiency. So maybe you're both kind of like
Doing your own thing.
Yeah, going your separate ways. And that Seven of Swords can sometimes indicate secrets or deception.
So maybe not being totally honest with each other.
Or maybe just not communicating as openly as you used to.
Right. And then we get to the Ten of Swords.
The big one.
The big one, traditionally a card of endings, but
it's not always a complete ending.
It doesn't have to be. And it's clarified by the Three of Cups, the Four of Swords, and the Eight of Wands.
So there's still that underlying foundation of friendship and connection.
That Three of Cups energy.
Yeah, but then that Four of Swords is like taking a break, needing some space to rest and reflect. And then the Eight of Wands is that rapid movement or change.
So it's like things need to shift.
They do, but it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is over.
More like a bump in the road.
Yeah, exactly. Like a turning point.
Where you've got to make a decision.
And communicate.
Yeah, communication is key.
Always.
Always. Okay, so finally, let's see what the universe wants us to know.
The guidance.
The guidance. And it comes through as the Ten of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, and the Knight of Cups.
So the Ten of Pentacles, stability, security, but then that Nine of Swords, those worries are still there.
Yeah, those anxieties haven't gone away.
But the Knight of Cups is saying, follow your heart.
Be compassionate.
Be creative. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah, like reach out, connect.
And bring that positive energy to the situation.
Yeah. So to sum it all up for you,
yeah.
Cancer this week is all about taking care of yourself.
Self-care is huge.
Huge. And navigating those close relationships.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, some past hurts might be resurfacing.
And those current partnerships might be going through some changes.
Yeah, and in the immediate future, there could be a turning point.
But you've got the strength to handle it.
You do, and remember, this is just a general reading.
So take what resonates with you.
Yeah, what feels true for you, and leave the rest behind.
Exactly.
So here's a thought for you as you go into this week. Think about that bump in the road that we talked about.
Yeah. What does that look like for you?
What feels challenging right now?
And how can you bring that Knight of Cups energy to the situation?
That compassion,
Yeah.
that creativity, that willingness to connect.
It could make all the difference.
It could really make all the difference. All right, that's it for this week's Deep Dive.
Until next time.
Take care, Cancer.